recording this.
It says unmute the speaker, so I'll do that. But I won't unmute.
Okay, I think I'm recording on both computers. We'll see how this works. I want to welcome everyone to the October 2023 meeting of the 1904 World's Fair Society. Of course, most of you know I'm Mike Truax, and this is the 119th anniversary of the World's Fair. And how many people know exactly how old the society is this year? 37, yes. This is the 10th time I think I've said that this year.
How is it? My first visit to the World's Fair meetings was at the old Lafayette High School, and Bill Peeber was the president.
That was probably right around
It was,
89, 90 or so.
oh, it was earlier than that. Must be been.
Well, we started in 86 and Max was president for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
At any rate, to continue, today our program will be presented by all of our members with Doug Stone as the Master of Ceremonies. At our annual show and tell program, members bring items from their collection to show and share with others, and perhaps tell a story about the history or acquisition of that particular piece of fair memorabilia. And we have 3 attendance prizes. Did you see the prizes on the table in back? They're from the Mel Getland collection that he donated to the society. So be sure and sign up. Doug has the box and fill out a card. Even though the cards say members only, you don't have to be members. So there's a saucer, a plate, and a small glass that a few members will get to add to their collection. So since I kind of touched on that, are there any new members here or non-members? Please raise your hand. Oh, look at you all. You're a new member. Thank you and welcome. You're okay. I'll catch it.
Yes.
I think we have to do that.
Pretty sure.
Okay. Okay, on the second row, or the third row, a little further back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well.
Stand up and shout it out.
Say who you are. I was invited by Jerry Milton, and I've known him for a long time, and also Von Seuss, who used to work there in Hollywood. So, anyway, my great grandmother attended the World's Fair.
Ooh, Doug, his great grandmother attended the fair. Doug will want to chat with you. I saw a couple of other hands go up. Yes, sir, in the blue shirt.
Greg Voss, my fiance Heather Finley. We joined at the art fair. So new members.
Welcome. This is a somewhat atypical meeting because of the disorganization and all the people that are showing, as opposed to a presentation from a speaker. But we all have a lot of fun and learn a lot at these meetings. And I see some other hands go up. Anybody else new or yes? I see a hand in back behind everybody. Stand up and tell us briefly about yourself, how you found us, your interest in the fair, whatever.
Joe Mueller, found out about the club from the Grant Park Art Fair. A lot of couple of small things, but haven't got a plan on joining. Just need to complete paperwork, I guess.
Okay. Well, we can take your form and your money tonight if you want, or you can mail it in. We do take credit cards.
I didn't sign up for a presentation, but my wife has a small picture frame. It's a single 1904. I'd like somebody to maybe take a look at it and let me know what they think. We don't know. It was stuff from her grandparents.
Okay.
My wife's grandmother actually attended the fair.
Wow, great. It's amazing how many people have fair connections. And Doug, are we running out of chairs or are we getting close? We may need to send out a smoke signal upstairs for a few more chairs. Okay, anybody else new or non-member? Yes, in back. I can't see you behind everybody, but stand up and let people know who you are.
Has been removed, and along with her grandson, reporter, who's also my husband. My grandmother attended the World's Fair. She was born. It's coming from the It's the ghost. Go to the whole.
Yes, ma'am.
Just Jeff. This is my friend Mandy, daughter MJ, and this is Mandy's mother Mary, and we have string figures and the World's Fair in mind.
Great, great. Well, welcome all new people, new members, and potential members. Yes, sir.
Who's the guy that lives down there in your web city?
Yeah, right.
Oh, you're talking about Lyndon Irwin?
Lyndon Irwin. You need to meet Lyndon Irwin.
Yes. I'll tell you a little bit about him when I get down to what happened in 1904. Okay. I talked about attendance prizes, non-members. Quick administrative reminder, please be sure and silence your cell phones. And I will do that also. Otherwise, we might get more feedback. For Zoom attendees, Doug will occasionally be watching the chat room, and I'll try to take a look at that to see if you have any questions so that Zoom attendees can ask questions too as we go along. A few quick announcements. Be sure and visit the Society website regularly. The upgraded website is available. It has information about our upcoming meetings. The November and December meetings are out there. You can also purchase Society merchandise. How many people came by Francis Park and saw all our merchandise? Oh, there were half a dozen of you I know that worked or came by. There's more stuff coming every now and then. We also have, the website also has pictures of past meetings and past year bulletins and other reports. Be sure and check out the Society's Facebook group page. We have nearly 6,000 members. There's always postings about World's Fair events and memorabilia and news about the World's Fair. Also on our Instagram page, Holly Childress, and I think I saw her in the back of the room. Raise your hand. You can meet the web mistress of the Instagram page. She finds pictures in different places that are very unusual, and I love seeing them. She's got a bunch of followers, and we get some of them posted over to our Facebook group. So did everybody sign a little piece of paper for the attendance prize when they came in tonight? Is there anybody that didn't put their name on a piece of paper tonight? Good. So be sure and stay for the drawing after the presentations. On YouTube, how many people have ever gone on YouTube and looked at meetings that you didn't go to? How many people knew that a lot of our recorded meetings since 2021 are on YouTube? How many people know how to find them? Okay, if you go to YouTube and type in 1904 World's Fair Society monthly meetings, you'll find our Facebook group. And if you click on that Facebook group, besides all the individual ones, you will find all of those meetings that are recorded on YouTube. And Miss Linda, and then there's a link also on our website to it. Yes. We have between 15 and 20 meeting presentations from the last 2 or 3 years that have been recorded, and they can be viewed anytime. There's also links to see videos on the Society's Facebook page and the website. I'll correct that for next month. So one other announcement. I was recently told that our librarian, Steve Vitale, was going to have surgery to remove a brain tumor. The surgery took place last week, and I talked with Steve yesterday. He said it was very successful, and he and his family are hopeful for a full recovery, as are we all. I told him we were all thinking of him and saying some prayers for him, and the prayers so far have been answered with the successful surgery. Because that's a scary thing to undergo. I'd like to ask board members if any board members that are here have any quick announcements they want to make. Okay. We are recording. Yes. Now I'd like to set the stage for this presentation by traveling back to Monday, October 17th, 1904, 119 years ago. The fair had been opened for over 5 months and summer was about over. As always, every day was special and busy. With the relatively mild summer, the crowds were still increasing and people wanted to see the fair as often as they could. The Vice President Corral of Mexico arrived to see the fair, representing President Diaz. He was widely regarded as Mexico's next president. The Mexican Army Artillery Band welcomed him at the Jefferson Hotel downtown. The Swine and Sheep Show was winding down. Say that 3 times, real fast. One competitor, his name was Tip Top Notcher, drew a lot of attention as the largest hog, weighing in at 1,120 pounds. He was named the Duroc breed champion, though some reporters compared him to an elephant. He wasn't quite that large. Finally, a tragic story. A Missouri Pacific excursion train filled with fairgoers on their way to St. Louis was on its way from Kansas and western Missouri, picking people up along the way. As it turned to the east from western Missouri, coming towards St. Louis, it approached Warrensburg. It slammed head-on into a freight train 3 miles east of Warrensburg in western Missouri. The crew of the westbound freight train had pulled off on a siding on the single line railroad. They had to await the passing of several eastbound trains, but they fell asleep and lost count of how many trains had gone the other way. So they pulled back onto the main track, singular, and passed a small station without stopping since they had no passengers. And the station master on that attendant said, "There's going to be a wreck." And he called the local police and rescue people, and 3 miles down the line, there was a wreck. There was no way to signal the train on the tracks. 30 people died and 70 were injured. Our member, Lyndon Irwin, back in the late 90s, noticed a lot of headstones of children in western Missouri from that wreck. And he began researching them and found out about the train wreck. And he wrote a book about it, and he put it on a website that he manages. And of course, the title of the book was "There Will Be a Wreck." He also wrote about that wreck as one of the segments in the documentary "The World's Greatest Fair" by Bob Miano that came out in 1904. And that one will bring tears. Oh, 1904, 2004. That segment, out of the 18 to 20 segments that are in there, will bring a tear to your eye when you realize all the children, and he reads some of the newspaper reports, because they didn't pull any punches in the 1904 newspapers talking about the manner of death and how terrible and tragic it was, etc. So he's a retired instructor down at Southwest Missouri State which I think is now Truman University.
No.
No? Okay. Missouri State University, thank you. I knew it had changed to a more general name than the direction. But he is retired now, and that book, if you can find it, is kind of hard to find. But as I said, there's a segment in the World's Greatest Fair about that. Okay, now it's time for our presentation. Doug Stone, a member of our board, is going to be our master of ceremonies to select, introduce, and run the meeting. He'll give you the guidelines, and I'm going to be the technical director because I can take things and, like I showed you earlier, get them up close to the camera so that small things can be seen by everybody in the room and on Zoom. Doug?
Hello, I'm Doug. I asked the folks that brought items tonight to show to please fill out a form. If you brought something and haven't filled out a form, they're on the back table. Please fill it out and bring it up here to me and I'll get you in the staff. Otherwise, my plan is to introduce you in kind of in random orders because there's no order to any of these. You have about 3 minutes to talk, depends on what we're going through, and just so we can get out of here at 8 o'clock when the building closes. That's the biggest rule. If you have something that you don't know what it is, that's fine, bring it up. People here will tell you. Or try.
That's right.
Okay. Or they may buy it from you. Anyway, let's have Yvonne Seuss up first, tell us a story and something about Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis. Well, I can, he was probably a doctor.
Okay, so I have to stand.
There's no microphone, I apologize, because we get.
Stand around here and you'll be on
Okay.
You're
camera.
perfect, that's perfect.
Okay, so my story is, some of you have heard this, but it's been a while, so I'm gonna relate it again. Edward Louis Gibler moved to St. Louis to build, as a carpenter, work on the building of the fair. He married, he had a son, Jesse Earl Gibler. Jesse Earl married Nellie Maud Kilgore. They are my mother's parents. I owe my existence to the World's Fair. So I like telling that story. Karen, you may recognize what I've got here. It's off the mailbox at the house that you estate sale in a few years ago. And I got it from my friend Rich Brooks. But he was David R.'s grandson. I'm not sure what his relationship was, but this was on their mailbox and they sold it at the estate sale. I thought it was kind of fun, even though it's not official World's Fair. It's kind of fun to have his name on something. Thank you.
Excellent.
I'm gonna give it. All right, Judy Deeker, please bring up your soap sampler.
So I have a silk woven or woven silk sampler.
2 feet.
Oh.
No, just back. Straight up. There you go. Perfect.
Okay, and it's Home Sweet Home, so it has a picture of a house, obviously, and then the lyrics to Home Sweet Home, the first verse, and down the bottom, real little, the second verse. On the back, it says, Alan Chester's manufacturer of woven silk pictures, World's Fair, St. Louis. And then you won't be able to really see this back here, but in pencil, so it says Grace Alloway, presented by S.A. True, September 9th, 1904. And Grace Alloway is my niece's great-grandmother, not a relative of mine, some grandmother on the other side of the family, but she knows that I love the World's Fair, and being her favorite and only niece, the only aunt, she gave it to me. So I brought it tonight to share.
Mike, you want to hold that up to
Yeah.
the camera just a little?
And after you're done showing it, we would ask you to put it on one of the tables along the wall or even on the back one back there.
Not as a donation, just as a display.
Yeah, taking it back. Sure.
Unless you want to donate it.
The back side, Mike
Yeah.
has the note on it.
Yeah, it's hard to read because it was written in the back in pencil and it's faded quite a bit since 1904, but
That house still standing?
I'm sure it is.
Where's it located?
too many questions.
Thank you, Judy.
All right, Scott has a stereo card viewer, and a glass hatchet with his grandmother's name or signature on it. And I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last.
Yeah, you can put it right in the box right here if you want, and go back and forth.
Okay. All right.
You don't have to hold the box the whole time.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
But please do come over here so that the.
I
Zoom
will,
people
but
can see it.
let me get settled.
Yeah.
All right, so, my great grandparents attended there.
Need to back up a little bit
Oh, sorry.
to be on camera.
I'm
There you go.
I'm a professor and I'm used to that, so I apologize.
Let me hang on to some of your stuff while you talk about one.
That's fine.
I promise to be good to it.
All right. Well,
Yeah, you got the hatchet.
all right, so, my great grandparents did attend the fair. And this is a hatchet. It's, is from, it says our father of our country. It has George Washington on it. And it is marked the World's Fair, but what's great, has St. Louis on it. It actually has my grandmother's signature etched into it. So I did talk, maybe some of you know about this or not, but I did talk to the History Museum and that they've heard of this, but they've never seen one with an etched signature, so I don't. Anyway, so that's one of the things.
Bigger than it. I thought it was from the
I think they have to have,
cabin, Grant's cabin.
well, this one, and I'm sure there was different ones to choose from. This one
That's
just
that's only
happened.
the second one I've seen.
Yeah, so this is our father of our country, so it is, yeah, so it's George Washington.
Mhm.
And then also, thank you. The stereoscopic viewer. Now, I'm a little unsure on this, because I hear two different stories. One was that this was purchased at the fair with all of these cards. Then I also heard I have additional cards in the box. And they're from different things, like when, President McKinley's funeral. The earthquake. That actually, I'm sorry. Is that better? Where's the microphone? But anyway, so, the stereoscopic viewer cards, they actually show all the interiors of the different pavilions and all of that. And, like this is the Belgian building. So it's different buildings that they had. The Chinese children at the gate to China on the Pike World's Fair. They're in very good condition. And 20 years ago, Yvonne Seuss worked with me, and she actually gave me all of these sleeves for the cards. So anyway, that was nice of her. But anyway, so there's two stories going on. One is that they bought this stereoscopic viewer, which was an entertainment toy or thing in the late 1800s, but then the other story was it was bought at the World's Fair with the other cards, which I brought, and they showed things like the earthquake and things that devastated St. Louis. Tornado, I think it was a tornado, right? So it shows pictures of that, and then it actually has hand colorized photographs of President McKinley's funeral and stuff like that. So anyway, so that's what I got.
They're all really flat. That's a really different format. Those usually they get dried out and they bend up a lot. And these are nice and flat.
They were curved intentionally.
They were
Okay,
curved,
is that right?
they were curved intentionally. They were,
That heightened the stereo effect.
well, right, and they were actually flattened by my grandmother.
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
So let's hope
Okay.
these are flat.
The actually,
These are flat.
these are older, and so they're curved, yeah. All right. So I'll put the items up there.
Yes, I'm
All right.
maybe on the table over here.
All right, thank
You know,
you.
where people can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Parolo, you have a tiny purse.
You
That's
can-
what she wrote.
And I apologize for the lack of amplification audio wise, but we couldn't, didn't want to put up with the feedback every 5 minutes or
Well,
whatever.
we haven't
So,
found a way that Zoom works with a remote mic,
yeah,
because we need to plug it in. Probably to the
so you're
computer.
speaking to the little camera right here
No.
Okay,
for the Zoom people, but in the room here, we don't have amplification.
Okay,
And you can stand anywhere between the table and the post back there.
so this is my purse. And the tiny purse is something that I acquired from a lady that I believe she was in Ohio. And I don't really know much about it. I did see a shoe shop factory, and I was wondering if anyone can tell me if it is a good thing to fix or if it is not. Because this is one of my new pieces and I don't want to screw up and get it fixed if it's better to leave it alone.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to show it on screen so everybody can see it.
It's sort of leather. Sort of, it's like
It-
a very thin type of leather, and I'd never seen one before. And
World's Fair 1904.
and then it has a name on the back of it.
I think if I get any
She couldn't
closer,
really
it's
tell
gonna
me.
go blurry.
What's the back side of it?
It has a name on it.
I personally.
Yeah. It actually, Mike, let me open this up.
Okay,
It actually has, it has a couple compartments on the inside. And one of them hold, you can't see it from out there, but it has tiny little mirror. This is just, kind of flat back there, but it's got a tiny little mirror and it's got little edging done on the mirror.
so
And it's got little slot, like it's got another little slot, like if you have lipstick or something.
see the little pockets on the inside there.
Wow.
And then, of course, the mirror. And on the back is just solid,
Like cardboard.
right?
Thank you.
Very neat.
Thank you.
So, Gary, I'm sure you have a number of the small purses. Some of them have little metal embossings and stuff like that. A few, yeah. That's the first one I've seen that says World's Fair that doesn't have a World's Fair image on it, like one of the buildings or something like that. It has a mountain scene.
I like that.
Stay away from this guy.
It looks like it's new on there, so I think it's
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Are available from many different places at the fair, so wouldn't surprise me if that was maybe from one of the Indian reservation spots, who knows? But the mirror's nice. I don't think I've ever seen one that had a mirror on the inside.
I wanted to add something. My family didn't live
Could
here.
you speak up a little so everyone hears?
My family didn't live here. They used to come here to go to the fair. From Illinois, so relatives in Chicago that came in, and also I met my grandparents in Bloomington. And then they came.
You know, there's a lot of train memorabilia about the cost for train rides from Baltimore to St. Louis and all. It's pretty interesting to see all of the institutional, the commercial stuff that went together for the fair. Mary Lipsy, the Kestner Gibson girl doll.
Smile, you're on camera.
I thought
This is
not a World's Fair item, but I'm a doll collector. And this doll is a Casimir, Gibson girl, the smallest size they make. She's a 10-inch tall doll. And I don't know if she's originally dressed or if this is just an old replacement, but she's dressed to go to the fair. And she's got the little Gibson girl hairdo and some tape that I added to keep her hat on. And my grandma, my great grandma, Clara Sayre, went to the fair probably just once because they weren't rich, they were poor. There were no souvenirs purchased by them because they didn't have the money. But she said about the fair years later that it was wonderful, wonderful. And I have purchased things for my grandkids who were all born in St. Louis, except for one, but she still got World's Fair. When they were born, they all got World's Fair, and I have a granddaughter who's very interested in it, and she's received more. I'm gonna give this to you too.
Can I show it to the,
Oh, sure. I'm gonna give this to Mary Jo too, to add to her collection.
Oh, that's pretty. Holly, you need a pattern?
Good.
It's about the size of a Barbie doll. Early Barbie doll.
I think you're really good at modeling.
Oh, can we put her up here?
Oh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, Mark Eisenberg, wall picture. I got it. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out where the camera is, and I'm gonna stand somewhere.
back up a little.
And I'll tilt this so the lights don't.
Okay, I didn't think I had anything to bring today, but I found that I did. Yeah, having served as librarian for the Gateway Postcard Club for a number of years, I know something about postcards. And I forgot to pull this out of my collection a number of years ago and decided to enlarge it and frame it. It's been on the wall of my house for maybe 20 years or more. So I grabbed it off the wall and brought it along, and the original postcard that came with it. It was mailed, supposed to be used, but not until 1907. I don't know where it was purchased. The part was maybe bought at the fair, or maybe given to somebody who came back from the fair to somebody else. Finally used it and mailed it from Salem, New York, July 31st, 1907, to Mrs. Lottie Beatley in Sandgate, Vermont, July 31st, 1907. It depicts a woman sewing on a Singer sewing machine. Probably always was the biggest name in sewing machines. Probably some of you still have a Singer sewing machine. Whether they're made in this country anymore, I don't know. Likely if they're made at all by Singer or somebody else using the name, they're probably made in China, I would imagine. But symbolically it shows a woman sewing on a Singer sewing machine, a overlay quilt of Louisiana Virgin States over a larger quilt of the United States, with children looking over her shoulder, representing nations all over the world. Where would they have had their booth? Would it be Tulsa Manufacturing, Varied Industries? Where do you think it would have been? Like their display, probably would have good size display.
Manufacturers of varied industries, probably.
Mark,
Yeah.
would that postcard be better, used like a camera?
I don't know.
I would, I'd move
Anyway,
the
I'll
camera
be
up
a chance to view it, I can lean against the wall. So, you want the postcards?
He had it up there right against the camera. So it's good. You just lay it down. No, just slide it. Understand. Linda Daviar, Missouri State Medical Association badge and Connecticut House badge and ribbon.
All right, I'm supposed to say this is from Art Two, he couldn't be here tonight. But, we have in our collection a little pin or badge. It says the Missouri State Medical Association, and it looks like they had a convention here in St. Louis, May 17th through 20th of 1904. And on the back, it has a really colorful, picture of a woman holding a flag, and it says Adita the Pen. Mike, if you wanna give a close-up there. And the other interesting item, there's a pin and a ribbon here, and this is from the Connecticut State House. I'm not really sure why they gave these out. Talks about Connecticut being the Constitution state. There's an acorn on it, a beautiful pin. It shows a picture of the building at the top. And then in the middle is another medallion.
Okay, I'm gonna scan this from top.
Something that's on the front now.
Gary, do you know why it has the acorn?
I have no clue.
Okay,
And we all know where the Connecticut House is now, don't we? There, West Lafayette, West Lafayette, Indiana. Yeah. That was near to the university.
Could you ask Doug to mute himself? Because we're
No,
picking up
Gary
a
may
lot
not
of
have that.
other sounds.
You're safe.
Tell know where to go.
Mary Jo has a small jewelry casket, leather purse from the fair, and a small pin marked 1904. Hi.
So I have this casket and it has the cascades on it. And there's a pin inside that has like I don't know, but it's like a house.
You show that to Mike there. He'll show it.
You can put it down right here.
There you go.
And it's in really good condition from what I know.
Mhm.
And
That's the casket's got glass on the sides?
and
Well, not quite. I'm sorry.
it can hold jewelry. It's supposed to hold jewelry, but I mainly hold that.
Is there a painting on the top?
Yes.
Can you put it over here?
I have a person has cascades on it. It's in really good condition and it has a name and 1904 on the back. And inside there's a smaller coin purse.
Ooh.
But it has the cascades on it.
Where did you get all your cool things?
Where did your grandma get those? Did she go to the fair? Your mom, maybe?
My grandma just bought it, I think. Oh, yeah, my great grandpa helped build the cascades, and that's why she gives me a bunch of stuff.
Oh. Do you know where the Cascades were?
No.
Have you been to Forest Park? Have you been to Art Hill? In front of the art museum where that statue of the guy on the horse is, that big hill?
Right.
Okay, that's where Festival Hall was in the Cascades going down that hill. And on the back, this says Edna McElwin, 1904. Trying to get the light on it and still short, and I've got a bad angle to see my screen, but hopefully that's readable.
Is that leather also?
Yes. These are really, really cool items. Yeah, go ahead. And if you put them on one of the tables over here, or, you know, you can start on the one right up here if you want.
those are really neat, and I love the story. And I didn't mention earlier, but I have been looking, I keep looking all the time, especially on the Facebook pages, for folks that have stories about the fair. And I know it's not first-person stories, it's probably great-great-grandparent stories, but that's perfectly great. We do we do a meeting once every, well, we try to do it once a year, but it's turned out to be like once every 5 years, on stories from the fair. They're very hard to find, but if you have stories, just like you did the show and tell here, that's exactly the same sort of method we want to use for telling your family stories. If you have pictures, if you have souvenirs, please, we'll have that meeting, bring those to the meeting, and we'll sign you up just the same way as this. And it's kind of a different show and tell, it's more of a tell and show, okay? And we love to hear the stories because we never hear enough stories about folks that were at the fair. We just try to remake it for ourselves out of all the souvenirs and all the history books that have been written. Thank you, Mary Jo. Perrin Stiefel. You got 3 or 4 items. Perrin's a popular.
I brought a helper.
Okay.
I don't think I can like you.
Okay,
He's got more stories behind this than.
so you'll be able to hear me wherever you are and whoever you are. So I'm gonna have to,
You don't want
is that okay?
Yeah.
Am I in your way?
No.
Darn it. Okay, so I love your casket box, the jewelry casket box, because I'm gonna tell a little about those here, but it's a great tie-in. So I decided recently that I was going to get something from every World's Fair that was ever held. That was my new collection. Are you ready?
Wow.
All the World's Fairs and industrial exhibits, these were actually started in the 1790s in Bohemia. In Prague with Leopold II, then it went to Paris. Paris has the most. And so I am not from a World's Fair. But I did go to Paris recently. Anyway, so here we go. I want to put the St. Louis World's Fair in perspective. That's my job. So this is Bobby Herman. Is she on there?
They are online, yes.
Okay. Well, my wife and I made several trips to Jeff City to see the Hermans. And one trip, my wife got excited about her salt collection, little salts. So this one is a green opalescent glass. This is from the Universal Exposition of 1878. So it's from the Paris Exposition of 1878. The one painted back of the salt is of the Opéra, the Paris Opera, Garnier, and the other is of Saint-Sulpice, the biggest church beside Notre Dame. And that's the one where all the organ concerts are held. So if you go to Paris, go to the church, go upstairs after the service, and some famous organists from around the world will entertain you. But I wanted to show that because it was like my wife has a collection of World's Fair, but she doesn't know it. So then the next one is a casket jewelry box. These have etched sides, and these are all French, by the way. And this is from 1889. Do you know what famous monument was built in 1889? La Tour Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower. And I was there in 1964 and 1968, and then subsequently 7 more times. And we were just there a month ago, and it's so fantastic. So this is actually the Eiffel Tower. Now, interestingly enough, the Eiffel Tower was meant to be temporary. It was supposed to last 20 years, and then they were going to get rid of it, just melt it down. It still stands.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, then I thought, well, wait, I've got two. Why not do another one? So the bigger fair, the biggest at the time, was the Paris Exposition of 1900. And in this, you see an aerial view, a vue aérienne of the whole exposition at the Champ de Mars, which goes from the Eiffel Tower to the École Militaire. And that whole field was filled with buildings at the time. And this was the year the Grand Palais was built. And the Grand Palais is still there. It looks like a crystal palace. And so this is 1900. These two boxes I got from Andy Kaufman, who runs a World's Fair auction twice a year. And he's from Florida, and he talked me into them. And then I have one from St. Louis, not to be undersold, and it says the Fine Arts Building, which is the Palace of Arts, which is permanent structure from the St. Louis World's Fair.
It'd be fun to compare those. It would be fun to compare yours and Mary Jo's.
Yeah, they're all from France, and they were very popular for 20 or 30 years. And to give you an idea, the Paris Fair, largest at the time, 135 hectares, and the St. Louis World's Fair was 500 hectares. So we're talking 500 acres and 1,200 acres, basically. So that's it.
Yay.
Quick question. Are the prices comparable between the fairs for the same type of piece and is about the same
Yeah.
condition?
You mean, what did he charge me? Or what
Yes.
did I pay?
Well, yeah, I'm not asking exactly, but, you know,
The
these are
salt
all
was
ver-
a little different, but these were 200 each.
okay.
And that's about
If that gives you anything.
what they're worth. Yours is worth 150, 200 for sure. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruth Foster?
I thought I was gonna be at the bottom of the pile.
Oh, I mixed them all up.
That's
Okay.
me.
Oh,
Oh,
thanks for
drop it.
saying that.
Put it on here. Yeah. Okay. You take that. And then- Okay, thank you, dear. This is exciting for me. I was a member regularly on time for every meeting for years, till I got old. Okay. This piece. In 1993, the whole world collapsed again in Creve Coeur and we were in the flood. And so we were moving things up to the attic. And my mother-in-law said, "You must have this for your collection." Well, I almost fell down the stairs. And it is a Douster collection from the World's Fair with Douster written on it. And so it's been one of my very prime pieces for all these years. It's so beautiful.
Ruby Flash.
Yes.
I've never seen. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Well. Oh, we don't have it. Never mind. Now, one of my last personers and this man named Jerry just ruined my whole night. Coming to meetings, I had seen 2 walnuts. I'm sure you've all heard of the walnuts. And I really liked them. They paid $1 a piece. Because, you know, you throw it in a box and okay. Well, I did a lot of shopping around in antique stores. And when the malls came out with antique shows, I was always in there. And this was from an auction. I walked up to this box and I saw that nut sitting in this box of stuff. And I thought, I'm gonna buy that nut if it kills me. Well, there was one other person there at that auction, of course, that thought the same thing. And I had to pay $70 for this stupid nut. But I was gonna get that nut. Well, then I got home and I'm looking through the box and there's nothing in it. Until I picked up the box, the nut came in. And then I met him. And he said, I got 2 of them with the box. But I don't care, because I think it's special.
It is special.
It is
I
special.
love the box.
Okay. So then, the
So
very,
what's written on the papers that are in the wall for folks to.
well, people that don't know, those are every building at the fair with the dimensions and what was in them, for God's sake. All of that in that nut.
I wouldn't say every building, but all the major
Well,
palaces
major,
and some of the state buildings, like the
Yes.
Missouri building and stuff like
This
that.
has more in it than the other nuts that I have seen. They must have been torn out somehow.
That's possible.
Because when I lifted that out carefully, it was. So that's one of my gems. And this is the last purchase I made. The World's Fair official photographic
Views.
views.
Mhm.
I believe it's 300 pages. It is totally awesome. And that is the end of my World's Fair shopping. I have a small collection, but these are my, no, this is absolutely, I am so excited about this.
It's a great read and there's a lot of information. in the
Oh,
captions,
absolutely.
Although they tend to exaggerate a little bit back in 1904. Just a little.
Can,
Oh, a little.
can
Yeah,
I ask you to help me with a little valuation after this is over?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Jerry can too.
Want me to grab the tankard?
I got my finger.
Okay, well,
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Barb.
Who remembers the year we made,
Yes.
menus in the nut?
Yes, I still have mine. Yes.
Well,
Those
yes,
are
it
neat.
was. We made little nutshells, we drilled them out and we. I driven.
that was before my time.
For the folks who've never seen that, why put those in a wall? It was the fair and
Very good.
Just out of focus.
Well done.
I know.
All right, Carol Ann Miller has a World's Fair bulletin front covers and Veiled Prophet brass items.
I just came across this that when you're going through boxes, I have lots of boxes of things that, you come across things. And so it's not complete, but it's got the cover and some things, inside. Okay. Okay, it's November 1904 and it has a really nice picture on the front. And then another one for another month that's on the back, and there's some things inside, but I thought it was worthy of just at least showing that this was something that they did have. Now, my grandmother did come to the World's Fair in May of 1904. I've shown her diary, and I could tell stories about, because every week, she was there for a whole week. She was hearing impaired because she had scarlet fever when she was a child. So I also have an ear trumpet, but it wasn't hers, but I have one just because of her. And so this is something that I did bring that another time. Yeah, I know. And so, but unfortunately, I never got a chance to talk to her. And I didn't even know about the World's Fair until after she passed away. Just think if I could have talked to her about what it was like, so it's wonderful. But anyhow, I have this little, I don't know, what is it made? Is this brass or something? Or does anybody know?
It's Felcher,
It's
white
a-
metal.
A white metal, okay. But it's from the Veiled Prophet, and it actually just shows that, everything, and I just thought it was really neat. I had it in my china cabinet. I have no idea where I got it, but I thought, well, I'll bring it. And so this is something. And so this is, I'll just hand this to you. And so, but it's fun, and I'm also the 1904 World's Fair lady since 1979. So I still dress the part when needed, but not all the time, because it's a lot of stuff. But anyhow, so this is what I have, and so I
Great.
will do the memories whenever you're gonna do
Phenomenal.
those again.
I'll
Great.
put your name on it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think the organization was the Order of the Veiled Prophet, and they had a debutante ball and a parade every year. Up until I got here in the eighties or so, it was the Veiled Prophet Fair, the VP Fair. And eventually, they fell on, what's the right word? They
Hard
kind of had to
times?
own, no, not hard times. They owned up to the, heritage that was discrimination.
Oh.
And so they kind of changed their name and their focus, and the Veiled Prophet Fair became Fair St. Louis. And they still have the parade for the thing. This was a giveaway at once a year, at the Veiled Prophet Ball or banquet. They would have a giveaway of, a little match case or something like this. And for 1904, and somewhere on here, it does have the numbers down in the lower left below the Cascades. I'm trying to show it. It doesn't show real well. It's kind of blended in. It says 1904, and of course, that's Festival Hall on the Cascades coming down, and that is the Veiled Prophet, or is that King Neptune? I forget which.
Somebody.
Coming out of the water, looking at the Cascades.
Yeah, he came, he came up the river
Yes.
from Khorasan.
Mm-hmm. I'm not that familiar with all of the history, and so I'm not sure about him, but this was the giveaway for 1904 at their big dinner ball following the parade and stuff like that.
Thank you for telling me more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can Google it and find a little more about it.
Great, boss. You're next. A receipt from the adult season ticket, Machinery Club ribbon, and Ruby Flash paperweight. So you knew more about it than you said. If you know it's Ruby Flash, you're already
Well, I
on the
know
right
that, yes.
track.
So my first item, and not as neat as some of the souvenirs, but it's a receipt, given out by the Division of Concessions and Admissions for a season ticket, for an adult season ticket. And, they actually had to fill out their address on it, and they put 5133 Washington Avenue. And we looked up that the house, I believe, is still there, and it was being built like in 1902, 1903. So probably at the exact same time they were building the fair. So that's address is pretty close to the fair itself. So they probably just walked across a couple streets.
Have you ever
and-
seen the tickets?
I have seen some tickets
Okay,
online.
well,
yes.
they took your picture and they put your picture in the book along with a bunch of tickets to tear off every time you went. So it was quite the setup.
So, and they purchased this on 5/18 of 1904. So. The next item I have, comes with, and it's a little ribbon that says Member Machinery Club, Louisiana Purchase Exposition. So I don't really know anything about that. But it did have a little note that was, paper clipped to it. Uncle Jimmy's badge to the World's Fair, 1904.
There you go.
So hopefully someone can tell me a little bit about that. Right, who's Uncle Jimmy? I don't know.
You don't care about the ribbon, how you know when.
So I've seen a lot of paperweights from the fair, and I've seen a lot of Ruby Flash, but I've never seen a Ruby Flash paperweight, so I just thought that was kind of a neat item. So I brought that. I've always been interested in St. Louis history, and obviously the World's Fair is part of that, so I've accumulated things just for years, lots of St. Louis history, and that's a few of the items that I have.
Great, that's super. I don't think I've seen a movie, but I need it.
This is kind of a, what do we call it? A template paperweight. It has a place to put a picture in the back, but I guess they've fired some of them when they made them with the red for it to be engraved. But on most paperweights, and I have several this same shape with the little ridged around the bottom with an image of a fair building on it. And interestingly, many times it's either a real photo or a piece of a postcard that is put underneath, because you can tell that it's a couples or some of the other postcards that are, fairly common. But they put them together and sold them and people bought them. Yeah,
And if I read correctly, I believe a season pass was $25. An adult season pass, so.
I think also a lot of people, that's why they bought a lot of the glass, is because it would be personalized right then and there, etched for you. Not only World's Fair 1904, but the name of
yes.
the person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
Mike, you wanna go next or
sure.
ready?
Yeah. That, where's my box? I'll bring that up and, yeah.
I forgot to tell you, my husband's grandparents took a horse and buggy down Olive Creek Road to the fair for their honeymoon.
Wow.
And so it's kind of cool.
I actually did have a fourth item, you know, so do three, I'll put it up here, but I actually have a hard copy of Hendershot's signed by Hendershot on the inside somewhere. There you go, 1994. So anyway,
That was his option.
Wow.
I promise I won't steal that.
Yeah, what, you know, Jerry, keep an eye on Jerry, okay?
Can you explain what Hendershot means to the,
William Hendershot,
well, just what the.
Well, so
Go ahead.
he was a St. Louis World's Fair collector and had an incredible collection and actually did basically the catalog for all the World's Fair items.
There are a lot of World's Fair people that put some of their stuff in there from here too, though.
When was that from?
That, 1994.
Yeah, in the 90s.
It was printed in 94, and the story I've heard from, Bill Peeber and Max Storm primarily, is that he included basically three collections. The, story, a mini biography of his life is in there. He managed a hotel, he managed this, he eventually got divorced, and got remarried when he was 70. He married a sweet young bride of 50. He lived to be 105 or 6. He saw the centennial of the fair, and in about 1998 or 9, I think, he was mainly a coin collector, a numismatic collector. And he was big in the coin club here, and at one of the big annual coin shows, he sold at least 80% of his World's Fair collection that he had picked up along the way, because he was from St. Louis. And that is one of the collections that he featured in there, and the others I think were from Dr. Vaca, and I'm not sure who the other one was. Oh, okay, Max and Bill, maybe Bob Herman, I don't know. Bob would know, kind of the people that were involved, but that has at least 2 images of over 2,500 items that they pictured in 1994 and published, and based on a typical good condition, they put a value on it based on 1994, just probably from talking about it. And interestingly, what happened in about 97, 98, 99 with people getting online, and then 5 years later with electronic pictures, and about 2000 or so, this little company out in the East Bay of San Francisco Bay started up and became internet bidding and auctions. And so as an example, that sandwich plate that everybody probably has one, the little laced edge embossed with gold paint on the back, which you used to have to hunt a little bit for, and they'd be worth $40 or $50. The price of those on eBay now is rarely over $10, but they want $8 or $9 shipping. Everything else basically lost about half of its value with the coming of the internet. Although the real rare pieces still hold, value pretty well. Does that sound about right based on what Max might have said? Jerry, would you've been only collecting what, about 5 or 6 years?
A few years.
Yeah, but it's going up
Karen?
again.
Yeah, it is going up again.
In Kansas City.
I would say they dropped about 70%.
For most of the common souvenirs that were mass produced, yeah.
And most of it's about half, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope to show and share some of the things, as I was looking around my collection, one of the things I decided to bring was, 3 vases. They made a lot of vases and little bowls and teacups and bigger teacups and coffee cups and small soup bowls and big soup bowls, often engraved and baked with illustrations of fair buildings. One of the variations or unusual things of vases is the different glass that's in them, and this one is kind of a smooth finished glass, not like your normal milk glass, and it's got kind of a transfer that went on top of some shading and painting. Let's see, let me get out of the camera here and show this to you. That shows, you know, a detailed picture of liberal arts with kind of a hand-painted frame around it. And as you look a little bit wider, you see more hand-painted stuff on this whole thing, which is a very nice white brushed glass.
It looks like Bristol glass.
Bristol glass, okay, I'm not a glass collector, so someone with a broader image in mind. Bristol, England? Okay, so this might have, you know, been made in England because an awful lot of the common souvenirs were made in Germany or Austria and mass-produced with a standard decal. The second one I brought is something that pops up every now and then on eBay or auctions and stuff like that, and I'll show you the lid. And I'll put this up on the screen and so everyone knows what's coming. This is called Moriage. And this is the lid to a vase. And when I first saw one of these, I went, that doesn't quite look like a fair building. This one does. But it didn't quite look right because it was only half of a building that was illustrated because they only had a little bit of room to show it. And this is the Moriage vase that goes with that lid. And a portion of the building, and it took me a while, I was still fairly new when I saw the first one that I didn't recognize the building. I finally identified it from a picture that was in the Bennett book. Because those illustrations of the buildings in Bennett are a little bit different than your normal photographs and stuff like this. And then the other one that I just acquired a few years ago from a local antique dealer. And Jerry, you can correct me if I'm wrong. A few years ago, I brought a large Japanese Satsuma vase, which is kind of like a, what's the style of painting where they put a border and then they fill it in? Not painting, but you know, it begins with a C, like cloisonne, that's the word I was looking for. And that kind of vase is kind of like cloisonne because everything is kind of outlined and whatever. This is a little different. And again, how do you know that something like this is from the World's Fair when it has, you know, nice flowers and stuff like that? Well, when you turn it around, guess what? There's a picture of a building, and I've heard this called Nippon ware. I'm getting head nods from the experts on China and stuff like that. That's it says the World's Fair St. Louis 1904, and I think that's maybe the Palace of Education or something like that. But there's no doubt that that's a World's Fair building, you know, I identified it and stuff. And so this is, you know, my kind of third unusual vase. And Doug, if you'll carefully carry these over maybe to this table and.
Oh, sure. Sure, I'll carry them.
Watch out for Jerry.
Yeah.
Watch out for you.
I'll take care of those.
And what's interesting with these is that I don't know if I've ever seen two of the same pieces hardly. there's pen rests, there's different shaped vases, there's, different patterns of the flowers. It just really amazes me, the, variety of these, of the different shapes and stuff that, Jerry can spend a lifetime to try to get all the different ones, and, maybe he'll get there someday. All in good fun. Okay, Doug, back to you.
Last on the list, Jerry Miller.
How do you want to do this? You want to bring him up here and I'll do the camera bit?
You can do the camera later. I'm just gonna bring a few things up.
Okay. 'Cause I think I found that, me, panning and zooming occasionally as you're talking about stuff works a little better.
Everybody knows I've been collecting for a couple of years, since about 2007, 2008. I've only got about 4,000 or 5,000 items right now. So I brought a few. He allowed me to bring 3 mini collections from my collection. And the first item I brought is over there. You saw a picture of it online. I happened to buy a bulk lot of something for like $20, and inside that was an original Fairy Floss packaging. I was able to put it back together again, and I framed it up. So of course, as soon as I framed it up, 3 days later, these letters pop up online, and they're all about the Fairy Floss Company from the World's Fair. And in like the first letter, they're discussing, oh, you're doing a great job, but you need to start making more money because the World's Fair people are taking 30%. Take the stuff off the fairground so you can make more money for us.
It's the machines that are making the Fairy Floss.
And the last letter doesn't have anything to do with the World's Fair. It's still from 1904, but it's still talking about the machines. And they had someone from Texas had gotten one of these machines. I don't know if he stole it or if he bought it and didn't pay for it, but he ended up selling stuff. And so they're like, go get that machine and stop making money for someone else. So these are very fragile. I'd rather nobody touch them. So I have copies over there if you would like to read all 4 of the letters.
One of the most interesting things about Fairy Floss, if you go out and look at its different names, etc., is that it was invented by
A dentist.
2 dentists.
So the other thing people know, I like to bring things back together again. So this vase right here, I found a set of 3. One was on eBay, one was at an auction, and one came from Bill Peeper's collection. So there's 3 different colors. They're all over here. I brought them all back together again to show you. And then the last items that I brought is I brought a selection of Jefferson Guard items. I have an original hat over there. I have some postcards. I have stereoscopic cards. I have buttons. I have almost enough buttons now where I can actually make a full uniform and overcoat. I do have a belt buckle, which I got from Max Storm's collection. I have a lapel pin, which I got from Pat Vilmer's collection. And I have a sword over there that I got from Bob Herman collection. So I'm bringing everything back together again in my collections. And so that's why I brought these selections today. Yes, sir.
Some people might not know what the Jefferson Guard was.
It was the police force, the official police force for the fairgrounds. So I have a lot of stuff over there. Go take a look at it. Don't touch the hat if you can avoid it, please.
For the fair?
Yeah, just for the fairgrounds.
They were often Army veterans from the Spanish-American War and or Jefferson Barracks. And they had a short broadsword as part of their official uniform. Guns were, very rarely carried back then. And They served not only as security, keep people off the grass, keep the peace. Hi, little boy, where are your parents? You know, help lost children find their parents and, you know, get the children over to the model playground, lost and found.
I do have a photograph that in the background, you can see two of the Jefferson Guard people dragging someone away. So that's one of my favorite pictures.
Do you know how many, the number of them? There's a number?
I don't, but I do have a registry over there.
Oh.
So I'm hoping it's a complete registry.
Of all of them? Around
I think-
700.
I thought I
Just
think it
their
was on the
names,
order of
what
600 or
countries they were
700,
With their number?
and the swords were numbered.
Yeah.
Well, this is just like by the company or what company?
Never part of a resolution of the US Army.
They worked for the Louisiana Purchase Exposition Company, I believe, in a military type organization now. They did not march or parade, I don't think.
Yeah.
Did they?
There's a picture of them
They also
on parade.
Okay.
Chariots to their people who get
Yeah.
with the full fight, yeah.
You
Okay.
can find a large panoramic of them on parade.
That wasn't their main job.
Initiated in 1902, and then 1 month after the fair closed, they were marched off.
Mhm.
And I wish I was around in 1905 because I have a book over there that talks about the uniforms. And they sold the used uniforms for $3.25 and the newer ones for $5. But that's what I brought, so there's a selection of things, take a look.
Well, that's all our presenters for this evening, but if you, go ahead, ask your question.
No, I do have.
Oh, you got some, come on up. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
This is Joe Mueller,
right,
or Miller, I don't know.
yeah. This is my wife, my wife had me to bring that up here
Back up a
to
little.
show, oh, okay, you're right.
No,
That's
you
good.
show on camera.
Okay. It's something she had gotten from her mom. This was, the pictures in there are not from that time period. These were my wife's grandmother and grandmother's sister. They were still in Germany at the time, so they didn't go to the fair. They just happened to be in the picture. But at the top of it, it says St. Louis, 1904. It says nothing else about the fair or anything, so we're just kind of curious if there is a possibility it came from the fair.
It's a micro mosaic.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
micro mosaic, right. It's made of thousands of little pieces of glass or tile.
Okay.
Each of those flowers has probably, I'd guess, 50 pieces of glass in it. Oh, there you go, St. Louis, 1904.
Yeah, at the very top, very small.
What pedigree from your family is that? Or her family?
My wife's, grandmother on her father's side, she attended the fair as a young girl, yeah. And we did, when I first started dating my wife, we were able to have some conversation when we found out she had gone to the fairs. It was, don't have a lot of stories, I guess my wife might.
That is, I've never seen one. Let's say-
Thank you.
Let's put it over there for people to admire.
Yeah, so is there anybody else that brought something? Okay.
We'll
So
take
yeah,
care of
we
it.
have to, we have to leave the building by 8 o'clock. Please, no, we have to, oh, well, you can make it look fast. But go ahead and take a look at all the items.
Before you just are dismissed, Doug, could you get the box for attendance prizes? We'll draw 3 names, and Doug, if you could bring the prizes up, if your name is called, please stay in your seats for a few more minutes, everybody. Please stay in your seats for a couple more minutes for the attendance prizes, et cetera. Otherwise, things aren't gonna work real good. A quick update about upcoming meetings and events. On Thursday, November 16th, Carol Diaz-Granados and Suzanne Bass will tell us for the first time about American Indians at the 1904 World's Fair. Many of these groups were brought to the fair for anthropological study and display. They'll include pictures and stories about their culture, etc. The meeting will be at University City Library on Delmar Boulevard, just west of the Loop, at the west end of the Loop, at 6:30 p.m. And if you want to see this presentation, and with the big crowd here, please attend the meeting on the 18th. The presenters have requested that there be no Zoom streaming or recording, so the meeting will not be shared online. However, as usual, you will be able to read about the presentation in the bulletin, and we'll get some pictures. Then on Sunday, December 3rd, at the Probstein Golf Course Clubhouse, we'll have our annual closing day observance banquet. How many people did not get their bulletin yet? Okay, there's a few. Hopefully you'll get it tomorrow. We mailed them last Wednesday, so that'll be a week. Our traditional closing day banquet at the Probstein Golf Course. There's a reservation form. It'll be a delicious buffet dinner, attendance prizes, attendee gifts, and entertainment from the St. Louis Banjo Club. And that's always a lot of fun. So now I want to do the attendance prizes. And after we get pictures of the attendance prize winners, well, we don't have to leave in the next 10 minutes, but, you know, we'll have a few minutes to mingle and then expedite.
Let's go.
Okay.
This is the first, an opportunity for an attendance prize.
You're the MC. Draw a name.
Wrong day.
Did I say? Oh, I said the 18th. Thank you. It's the 16th.
Holly Benedict.
I changed it in some other places, but not on this piece of paper. So what attendance prizes do we have?
Not all of these things. Hang on a second. Let me separate a couple things so we don't get. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're in the right place. In this, there were three things, right, Mike?
Yes.
And then Jerry brought this. Jerry framed this up and brought it and offered it as an attendance prize also.
Thank you. How did you remember?
So you get your choice of four. You're the first one called.
Oh. Oh my gosh, I was there.
Okay. Jerry can tell you all about what it is too, so that.
Okay,
Stay up here, please.
okay.
Okay.
Just step back.
And Doug, hold on to that name. Want to get a picture of it for
Yeah.
Janet.
Oh, well, super.
Next name?
Oh, wait for me. Pat Hotze's in here, but I don't think you're gonna be here.
Pat Hotsey?
Pat, she is here.
Yeah.
These three.
Could I get you to take a picture or? Yeah. And I'm sorry, I forgot about the camera crew. You Zoom people. We're getting names together and stuff like that.
Carol Perola.
Karen? When Sheriff starts taking her pictures, would you also? What do you want? Just take pictures of the group
I can't tell you what.
posed.
Of the group.
Yes,
I can do that.
this was empty when we started, so all
Jerry
names,
can tell you.
okay.
Sorry, Mark,
Other name?
one more name, Marge Oliver. Marge Oliver.
Move close together.
Last person come up?
Yeah, she's going.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we need everyone to squeeze together a little bit.
Doug, you're gonna be in it? Yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3, go, and again, go. And again, go.
All right, now look at me and look cute. Gotcha.
Holly, you can win it there.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry knows for sure how.
Okay, been through the meetings. We have the attendance prize drawings. We've got probably a good 15 minutes to come up and take a look. And if you people with chairs over there would maybe move them to the center aisle, make a little bit more room for the crowd, you can come take a look and take your own pictures.
So, Mike.
You know, that's the soonest you ever got finished. You know that?
Okay, for people on Zoom, if you're still online, let me look and see how many people are still here. Looks like everyone else on Zoom gave up, probably because I gave up on the camera, but, meeting is now over. Thank you for coming. Bye.